very good to be with you this afternoon. My great-grandparents came from the Scandinavian part of the world, so I always feel like I'm coming home again, so it's good to be here. I've spent the majority of my career in IT, working with IT organizations. In fact, a good portion of that is ITSM. The conversations on stage today, kind of my wheels were already turning on some of the ideas because I love this. And where I sit today, I get a chance to work with enterprise customers, helping them, guiding them through solutions from an IT perspective as we work with them, and it's a fun place to be. And so I'm going to offer some insights as I kind of dive a little more into the product side, but I think what's so important today as I talk to you is the cultural and the way that people work and bringing that to it. That's one thing I've loved about my years with Atlassian. So I'm very excited to share with you how Atlassian is helping IT teams bring agile ways of working into their day-to-day. And I need a clicker because I forgot to grab that. My bad on that one, so thank you. Yeah. All right. So, you know, we think about the conversations that we've had today earlier about the rapid pace of change. And they're always interesting to think about how we bring that back to where we work. But it's not only the rate of change that's mind-boggling, it's the magnitude. Now, just bear with me for a minute. In, the last decade, it's really transformed our lives and the way we live. So just think about in the time that we've been in this room in the last couple hours, 481,000 tweets have been sent. I can't, take responsibility for any of what the president have done. Over 18 million Google searches have been created. I like this one. 4 million photos have been shared on Instagram. I have some dogs that are on Instagram. Our golden retrievers, they're on there quite a bit. People boarded their flights, and they've used it by a mobile device. Probably most of us in here do that. But over 4,000 planes in just 1 hour takeoff. And that, the amount of change there. 2.5 billion messages via WeChat. And then also 10 million transactions have been made. So we live in a digital world that's really touching our lives, but it's also changing companies, and that's what I want to talk about. We've gone from off the shelf is good enough. My niece was showing me the shoes that she ordered, and they were all tailored and custom-made for what she ordered. And so that's where self-expression and customization fits in. And it's now the expectation from the way we interface. The days of just finding out when is that store open, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We were shopping in our living rooms 24/7. And we talked about this earlier, some of the companies that, the way we've set up our companies and structured them, where we value standardization and efficiency. We're now in a world of creativity and innovation is paramount, and diversity is celebrated. So I need you to just for a second here as we talk about this, think about the last time where you had an interaction with a company this year. What made you love that? What was awesome about that interaction? How did they delight you? Was it a great customer service experience? Was it the A+ user experience? And was it a time convenient for you or for them? Did they understand your specific needs? Now, the reason why I talk about that, in order to deliver on that high level expectation, those teams inside of that company needed to come together in ways that they never have before, in ways that they could, work and collaborate better. But here's the other part, at a speed that they've never done before as well. And so for many companies, that's a radical change in the way that they've worked previously. And this comes into a term that we use a lot, but I think it really hits home at this point, and that's digital transformation. Every company is facing this in different ways, from the traditional to the startup. Companies big and small. Many of you in this audience are grappling with ideas of, okay, if we bring more of this into our organization, how we work, how are we going to change our business model? How are we going to change our practices and our processes? And most importantly, how are the teams that work within this organization work better together? So in order to increase, we see this increased demand for services and be able to respond to that while delivering an experience that customers expect, we know that our teams need to be more agile in their way of working, greater agility. They need greater level of collaboration. And so at the very heart of this that we've been talking about is IT. No teams know the impact of digital transformation more than IT. Some of my favorite conversations that I have on a weekly basis. They play a key role in the organization as they grapple through this, as they transform. We talked about earlier how IT is being pushed out into different parts of the organization. IT teams have to partner with developers that are shipping code, getting it out faster, but they play a key role in that because of the demand from the business. And also, IT is responsible for not only that infrastructure and the developers, but for delivering service. And we're moving away from centralized service. So they need to empower all teams in the business to be more agile and collaborative in the way that they are delivering service. So every team here is all focused on being able to deliver in that way, their customers that they serve, whether they're internal or external. And so, whoops, clicking on the wrong button there. So there's often a healthy tension between this, and you probably experience this on a regular basis, between dev teams, because what do they want to do? They want to ship code faster. And so that's, they're meeting the customer demands. And IT plays a critical role in that. But I think there's a task in there that's really important. That is controlling cost, managing risks. And so while they're involved in this, there's that, that fine balance. How do I balance out that agility of what I'm doing, but also the control that I need? And so the question I would ask here and we're going to consider is, how can we remove that tension or reduce it? How can we better automate the interactions between dev and IT? What if we could actually scale across the organization service to every team with ease and take the burden off of IT having to do that centrally? I want to share with you a customer story. I'm going to use the example of, we could do many different businesses. I like this one because hopefully most people in here like pizza. Now, if I went and said, well, how many like pineapple on their pizza, we'd probably get some debate in here. But I'm going to use this because pizza is a pretty common thing, and you wouldn't think about technology being behind the delivery of pizza. Domino's is a brand, primarily in the US, but I've seen them in a lot of other countries around the globe. And they've taken a journey. They knew that a tasty pizza would only take them so far, and they wanted to have a seamless delivery experience. So how did they get there? They set out to create a best-in-class mobile app that would actually allow users to order a pizza from just a simple text message or a tweet. But not only that, it was all about allowing those customers to see and track their order in real time. So if they're watching the game, they're waiting for the pizza to show up, they know, hey, they're almost here. We're about ready to have our meal for the game starting. So, but it isn't just about delivering an app. They actually had to fundamentally shift the way that they did business and fundamentally shift how IT worked with the different parts of the organization. So here's the key attributes that were key to them. These teams need to be more collaborative so they could break down silos and encourage communications. That's not just dev and IT. One of the parts of the story I know the detail is that's also security. Business teams coming together. Instead of being silos, we're more collaborative, reaching across in the way that we could deliver this experience to our customers. We also need to be more iterative in the way that we can embrace and adapt and change. And change is a constant. So how can we be iterative and embrace that in what we're doing? And the other thing that's so key in this, and we know this from so many other examples, is I needed to be focused on my customer centristic, to be able to deliver that experience that's not only simple and helpful, but I'm learning from my customers. We're being able to then take that back into what we deliver. Now, take a look at these traits on the screen right here. Do these remind you of an existing framework or way of working? I see a few people nodding yes there. And if you were thinking Agile, you were correct. What these teams needed was Agile itself in the way that they work. Domino's was able to beat the competition, the results of the investment of an Agile IT organization. And it's just one story. There's actually, this trend goes well beyond Domino's. It goes across industries. That's one thing I love, just hearing this all the time of how this is weaving its way into business strategy, and IT sits right at the very heart of that. From pizzas to mattress delivery. We've heard stories, and we know that all of you in IT are going through this today. So we also know that Agile is not something new to IT. It's actually been Agile ways of working have been there for a while. So many of you that have worked closely with development teams have actually started adapting them in. But I want to just kind of emphasize something here that at Atlassian, we believe the future of IT is Agile. We've made it our mission to unleash the potential in every IT team. And given our background in software development and our continuing mission to unleash the potential in every team across an organization, we're incredibly well placed to actually partner with IT teams on their digital transformation journey. And so in the remaining time with you, I want to show you 3 areas and kind of dive into the product aspect of it and how we're seeing this happen. I'm going to start with one that's probably the most important out of the gate, and that's where, there's a lot of area around where dev and IT intersect and need better collaboration, and one of those is incidents. Incidents have a real impact, both in terms of dollars, but also the reputation of the organization. And there's a real dollar value behind this. We think about downtime. Surveys show that it costs globally is over $1 trillion per year. But if we bring that back to just today's dollars per day, it's about $4 billion as we see. And those are large numbers. That's a real impact on the business that's causing a strain. But I want to consider the other part of that. I think it's something that we can overlook real easily, and that's the personal impact of incidents. In fact, I'm going to share one that you probably remember from last year. 1 minute you're watching the World Cup, you're cheering on maybe your home team, maybe not, but you're enjoying watching the World Cup, and then the next minute, there you are, screaming at your computer screen, your TV. When YouTube has an outage and an incident and the World Cup goes down, people notice. Every second of downtime is a missed goal, a missed penalty, a moment forever that was all due to an incident. Now, it's a big example, but I think it's one that we can relate to. And when we come back and think about those teams in the organization, previously you think about, dev teams, those who build software. They would ship it, send it on their way, and they'd wash their hands, and what do they say? It's ops problems now, right? Or those in the IT operations side, they would love to get their hands dirty and fix problems like this and address them permanently, find the root cause and get to it. But they're busy, and their mission is get the service back up. So what are they doing? They're just busy. They're restarting those broken services. And we have this separation in here. And so the reality is that these modern operations, these teams need to come together in a way that can respond and resolve and learn from these incidents. Now, the truth of incidents and incident response, it's hard. It is really hard. And so that's why I want to talk about today just a couple ideas and share with you that teams, as they look towards this aspect of IT, they need the best in breed products to be able to solve incidents fast. And the reason for that and the why is because incidents are make and break. It is the reputation for those customers, both internally and externally. And I'm sure as I've been talking to you, you can remember the last time that you've been impacted by an incident. One of mine was recently when there was an airline outage of a computer system, and it caused a full delay in travel and missed meetings. So these types of things impact companies, and you're impacting your customers indirectly or directly. So we need the best in breed products out there. So best in breed alone just doesn't cut it. We live in a world where every second counts, so we need to save time. So we need products that are not only best in breed in the way we work, they need to be integrated because we may reach across multiple products. And that's where Atlassian comes in, that we put both of this together, both best in breed and deeply integrated with the rest of our products. So let me talk about you and show this actually how this happens. Now, you're all very familiar with Jira software. That's where we best work in tracking what matters most to us in our organization, what we're working on, whether it's software or other parts of the business. And Jira Service Desk is the fast becoming the standard for service and support. But what I want to talk to you about, I want to show you more about Status Page and OpsGenie, which you may not be as familiar with, and share some insights with these two products as it relates to incident response. Status Page is the #1 proactively communicating status for incidents to your customers. We know communication is key and critical. And in fact, we're so passionate about the communication and transparency in this aspect that we've made Status Page's mission to build trust in every incident. With a website, email, mobile, the way that your customers want to consume and interact with this, Status Page is up when you are down. And Status Page Uptime Showcase for your services that you're now communicating with your customers about, it builds trust with them by showing what's your long-term availability of your services. Some of the best companies in the world, companies that you trust your cloud data with, including Dropbox, New Relic, Intercom, and thousands of others, actually they're using Status Page to keep their customers informed, keep you informed of incidents and downtime. It's key to keeping the trust of those customers. Now, the other part of this equation that I want to talk about is what happens when we have an incident going on? And that's where internally, we've been doing this for a long time with our internal teams, and we started seeing customers build product around, and we said, we need something here to fit this, and this is where we were super excited to add Opsgenie to our team. It is a market leader in alerting and on-call management. Now, we believe Opsgenie is best in class for a few reasons, but first of all, Opsgenie is what we believe to be the best rules engine on the market. And in fact, customer the other day I was talking to was so excited. He says, you gave me the best of what I have in Jira now around incident response and on-call. So now we've put those together, and they were super excited about that. Now, what does it look like, a couple of the features inside? Well, it really comes down to the team's schedule, their alerts, their escalations. How do we get it to the right person every single time? Now, you don't realize how important it is until you've woken up the wrong people at 2 a.m. And I'm sure some of you have been on that. Even when we go back to the days of pagers, right? Or worse, you haven't woken anyone up, and you've been down all night long. And that's not a Lionel Richie song. Opsgenie also has built-in video conferencing. I love this feature and talking to customers about it. Making it easy for the right people to be together to better collaborate, share information, work towards that resolution, and it's always learning, keeping track of that information shared. Now, I promise you, I don't know anyone in ops that looks like this at 2 a.m. in the morning. No. I can tell you they look more like this. Now, hopefully they're not sleeping. Hopefully they're awake and doing their part and checking their systems. But no matter who's online, what they look like, the most important thing is with Opsgenie, no time is wasted getting everyone together to solve the problem onto the right bridge. This is integrated seamlessly with the product. Now, once the incident's over, job is done, we can move on, we can relax, right? No. Many of you have told us the struggle to learn from outages, to learn from mistakes made there. And therefore, to prevent further incidents, it's really important in that aspect. In fact, I'm going to share something I just was reading through. Google found in a survey last year that 70% of post-incident reviews are forgotten. That's a pretty high percentage. And it's easy to forget it because this is not top of mind as we finish. We move on to the next thing. That's why we've added, inside of Opsgenie, postmortems. And let's be honest, postmortems can be a drag sometimes. So we've made it extremely easy and straightforward for teams to make use of this. That way it's there every single time. The templates are there, it's built in, it just becomes a part of my incident management practice. So these pre-built templates is there, and we can make them a part of what the team does. Now, the incident timeline is the other part. Remember the video bridge a minute ago when we're working? That's just being built out. We've actually, that's integrated into Opsgenie as well. So that timeline's being built as we're going through the response process. That's super valuable in the post-incident review as well. And that saves time trying to piece back together and remember what it was that we did at a certain point. It allows us to have that valuable resource right there. So Opsgenie postmortems unlock lessons learned, not only to prevent future incidents, but this is the path to true service improvement. Now, let's talk about deeply integrated. Now, while each of these products are incredibly powerful in their own right, the true power comes when they're working together. Millions of users are very familiar with Atlassian's cloud products, and such as Jira Software and Jira Service Desk. But we've also brought that same level of experience to Statuspage and Opsgenie. Your teams will benefit from the unfiltered experience, just going from one product to the next. So during the incident, the last thing that you need is members struggling, trying to figure out, how do I navigate? Where do we go? It's one thing I love about our UX team and our design teams. They're always looking at how do we improve to where it's seamless across the products for customers. The other part of it that we've done is we're integrating user management across the Atlassian product family so that your team benefits from a seamless experience as they move between products. Let me share a couple examples with you. With Statuspage and Jira Service Desk, we can help by deflecting support tickets. So this saves time for your customers because they come to the portal and they see, oh, they already know about it. I don't have to tell them. The other thing is, you're just that flood of tickets hitting your support team. They're going to have to now all batch those up. Which one's the parent ticket? Which one's the children? It'll reduce the number of duplicate tickets. They can focus on what matters. And here's the other part. We're just earning the trust of our customers, internal or external, around open communication. Opsgenie has a beautiful integration with Jira Software. In the middle of an emergency, it's very easy to cut corners. So that's why we've made it even easier for teams to be able to come in and create related items to this. Jira issues, tasks, bug fixes. I don't have to, I'm simple click, I'm in and creating the related item. Opsgenie has a beautiful integration between these two, and in case of an emergency, we're not going to forget those. It's going to help us stay on track. And during postmortems, the same integration also helps us with follow-up items into Jira software. So that way I've identified those actions they're going to take that are going to be the future fix or the service improvement. I'm able to track in Jira software and ensure that they're getting done. And for those teams are using integrations that are outside of our ecosystem, third-party products like Slack, every dev team and ops team that's collaborating there is able to stay in their familiar environments. This integration here is bidirectional. So from Slack, important messages can be posted directly back into Opsgenie. So only Atlassian approach to this in incident management brings together best in breed and deeply integrated. This helps IT and dev teams to be more agile when it comes to responding, resolving, and learning from incidents. So that's use case number one. Let's move on to the next one. And that is around delivering service across the organization. In the past, back in my early days of consulting, I always looked, IT was the connection point for that. How is IT going to do it? So in addition to this, they play a key role to the business of rolling out service. And those in UV and IT, you know that you can be a hero when you deliver amazing service, but you actually can move to the superhero level status if you're able to actually help those teams help themselves. And so this is something that's become very passionate with our teams and our product teams, because we know, we ask ourselves, why don't these teams have a service desk? They're delivering service within their organization. Is there a way that this interaction can go through a service desk? Now, why don't they do that oftentimes? Well, because we know that oftentimes the tools in that make it lengthy and expensive and complicated. They're hard to configure, and IT always has to be involved. We're bringing a new team on and that. So at Atlassian, we take the opposite approach. We believe that any team can be a service team. And we believe that as the service team out there, we want to put the power in the hands of those teams to deploy that. So we've made it extremely simple for every team, for HR, facilities, for legal, for marketing, to create their own service desk in a matter of minutes. So let's see how a legal service team can spin up a service desk. Now, first, the most complicated and challenging aspect you'll do, that's naming the service desk. So let's go with legal. Now, once we have that in place, we're just going to choose the different request items that are going to be in our request catalog. So we'll go ahead and choose the fields here for your employees that they would go ahead and fill it out. So we're going to do contract review. And it'll allow us to go ahead and I'll make sure I'm staying on track here. So we'll go ahead and create our request item for this. And we're going to bring in the fields that we need into Service Desk. It's simply drag and drop. So the admin set all of this up for us, it's just allowing the team in legal to build this. So we'll bring in the company name. We'll bring in, let's say, a number field here. And let's drop in, so we have the number field for the contract value. Let's drop in an attachment field, because that way we can bring in the contract being reviewed. So how simple was that? The idea that we're able to allow a team to create their own request catalog, to start and create their own service desk. But we know the power of Jira, right? Well, that gets to the workflows. In addition, we can easily configure the required workflows to enable the creation of a service request. The Power Service Desk really shines at the workflow level. And we're not going to hold this back from the team. We're going to allow them to magically go into the workflow editor and allow them to create the workflow they want. Now, whether it's a simple workflow, they're starting out like this, and then they go 6 months from now and they want to evolve it, they're able to do that. They might add additional steps in here where different lawyers are getting involved with the review. Now, this is a really short example, but this is what we previewed at our summit just recently that we're now rolling out into our products, allowing us to scale service to other teams. So, for example, the next time an employee that wants help from legal, they come to Help Central. They're able to then go in and find the legal service desk, choose the contract reviewed request item, fill out the service request that's sent to the legal team. What used to be an email ping pong is now a level of service to that team. Happier customer within the organization and a more efficient way of working. And that's just not for legal. This can be for marketing, HR, facilities. This is probably the most common conversation I have with customers. One customer in Omaha was just starting with IT. They're now 5 different organizations as they scale out because of the ease of getting service desk into the other parts of the organization. And who is the superhero at the end of the day? It's IT. They're delivering value to other parts of the organization. And that brings me to my final point I want to share with you. And that's, you've seen how Atlassian helps IT teams, closely work with dev teams during an outage or deliver service in an amazing way across the organization. But I want to focus on another part that I think is so important that oftentimes people in the business or outside of there don't appreciate with IT, and that is the amount of work that IT delivers. Now, some of you might call this project work. It is the daily work beyond the support they deliver that they're involved, critical business systems and applications. Whether they're working directly with the dev teams to deliver new application capability that's touching your customers, or they're working internally that involves migration to a new cloud hosting provider. I've heard from many IT organizations, they want to make all of this important work visible, both IT and dev. So I'm excited to share with you how Atlassian helps accomplish this. And that's Meet Jira Align, our newest product in our portfolio. One that I'm super excited about, and I've been talking to quite a few customers the last few weeks. Now, Jira Align's mission is to simplify building of software at scale. We aim to make all work visible across these teams and align not only just the technology, what's going on, but align it with what's going on in the business across the entire enterprise and to maximize the outcomes. Let me share a customer example with you, and that is AT&T. AT&T, within the last couple of years, embarked on an Agile transformation, and they were enjoying the benefits of that, empowering their teams, having them responsive at the team level. But despite the success, they were actually struggling with the transformation. Yes, it was happening at the team level. Individuals were more efficient, but they were efficient in isolation. The organization as a whole they weren't seeing the desired outcomes. They were asking the question, where's this increase in speed? How are we moving? What's the cost? What's the quality? And ultimately, what's the value that we're delivering? So without the ability to easily connect the work to outcomes, the leaders had limited ability to truly know which investments they were working on and which ones they shouldn't be working on. So in other words, there was no easy way to actually go through and connect with the work that people were doing with the strategy and the execution. So fast forward, Jira Align with the team now, they embarked on a very aggressive plan this last year that enabled them to deliver rapid results. The simple process of connecting strategies, themes, features, and stories in a common tool enabled them to have immediate visibility across the organization, resulting in better outcomes. AT&T had a huge goals. They, as far as just not only this visibility, but cutting time to market in half, improving quality, and reducing the cost by more than a third. Within just 6 months, they saw some major gains. They were able to implement Jira Align across 15,000 people, 45 release trains, covering 15 portfolios, and they're just getting started. And that's just one story in there. I love hearing about these. So you're probably asking yourself, is Jira Align a good fit? Well, how would I figure out this? And I got some questions for you I think might help direct this. So if you're a company, where would I benefit from this? So let me start with question number 1. I need more coffee this morning. This afternoon, I'm waking up in the US. Do your teams find it difficult to connect their work to the overall goals that sometimes they're asking, why are we doing this in the first place? So Jira Align allows you to make more work visible in the organization from a single view, regardless of where the work is being managed. For example, here, we can actually roll up work across hundreds of programs using Jira software, Jira Service Desk, and even Trello into a unified view with common set of goals and a shared budget. The next question, or actually one other thing I want to point to the next question is, even better way is with each story and epic, these cards are actually tied back to the why. And for those that are actually working in the trenches doing the work, it's really important to connect their work back to the impact So we want to drive big results in an organization as we do our work on a day-to-day basis, but it's really difficult to connect it back to why. That's where Jira Align helps teams to know why their work matters. The second question to ask yourself is, so is there another question in this regard? Do you spend a lot of time trying to coordinate work across teams? Once you begin, scale there with hundreds of activity streams and thousands of moving parts, to keep them aligned in real time, the program board ensures that changes in scope, current priorities, and goals and visibility across teams are made visible to teams. And then the last one is, do you always have a view, or are you aware of all the priorities and dependencies across the company? And that's where this aspect, this view comes in, that we can look at team-by-team priorities and dependencies, and we know that that varies by team, and to be able to roll this up in a way that we can manage this at scale. And last, you can actually measure the impact of your work against the larger goals of the organization. This, with Jira Align, it actually provides the ability to look at early results of your work and say, is this visible to everyone using the outcome sensors? With the outcome sensors, it provides immediate feedback loops to delivery teams, to portfolio managers, and allows them to take actionable insights. Now, using things like OKRs to the team in the Jira, you can quickly see the leading and lagging indicators and help decide if it's time to halt, pivot, or persevere through the current work in progress. Now, for amount of time, I'm just skimming the surface here with Jira Align. There's a lot more we'd love to talk about. But what I want to bring us back to wrap us up, and we think about bringing agility in the way we work, cross-collaboration, and be able to connect with teams. The key here is that we've covered a lot of different aspects in the product, but unleashing and bringing agility to these teams and Agile and the way that teams work is more than just products. We've heard that in the earlier sessions today. We need a combination of not only the right products, but the right people, giving them the ability to work and collaborate in the culture they need, and the right praxis. All three of these together bring together the ability to unleash their potential. Now, you'll hear more from Gina when she takes the stage here in a few minutes. She's going to talk about open practices that IT teams can put in place and be able to carry that forward. Thank you.